They always say long marriages settle into a rhythm, like a song you've played too many times. At first, it feels like music, like you both know the steps so well you can dance in the dark. But then one day the melody softens. The beats grow faint. And before you realize it, you're moving through the motions of a dance no one is enjoying anymore. I used to think Daniel and I were different. We married young. Not too young, but young enough to believe love alone could conquer everything. We were 26 when we stood under that ridiculous floral arch his sister insisted on decorating herself. He had held my hands so tight that day, eyes sparkling, promising me forever. I believed him. I believed in us. And for a long time, he made me feel like the most desired woman alive. I still remember the way he used to touch me back then. Not just sexually, but casually, everywhere, all the time. His fingers would slide over my shoulders while I cooked, his palm resting on the small of my back when we crossed the street, his lips brushing my neck when I bent to pick something up. Those little touches were oxygen to me. But somewhere in the last few years, those touches began to fade. At first, I didn't notice. Life gets busy, careers, bills, grocery lists. We still had sex, but it became practical, predictable, like brushing your teeth because you know you should, not because you crave the mint on your tongue. The real blow wasn't the sex itself. It was the absence of everything around it. No more slow kisses in the kitchen. No more laughing under the sheets, breathless and tangled. No more spontaneous, can't keep our hands off each other moments. Just silence. I tried to ignore it at first. Told myself this was normal in long-term relationships. My married friends all joked about it. The dwindling passion. The bed that became more about sleep than love. I laughed with them, pretending I wasn't silently aching inside. But I was. I missed wanting him. I missed feeling wanted. Sometimes I would stand in front of the mirror before bed, brushing my hair, wearing something a little prettier than necessary, waiting for him to notice. Waiting for his eyes to darken the way they used to when desire hit him like a wave. But more often than not, he was scrolling on his phone or already asleep. One night, I actually whispered it out loud to myself after he turned his back to me in bed. Is it me? Am I the problem? Because I couldn't stop remembering the way we used to be. There was this weekend, years ago, when we went to the lake. We barely left the cabin the whole time. We cooked together, danced barefoot on the deck, made love like the world might end tomorrow. He used to look at me like I was the only woman alive, like he could never get enough. Now he barely looked at me at all. I told myself to be patient. People go through phases. Stress at work, exhaustion, life piling up, it happens. I kept waiting for him to reach for me again. But the longer the silence stretched, the more it started to feel like rejection. One night, I tried to bridge the gap. Slipped my arms around him while he washed the dishes, kissed that spot under his jaw he used to love. He smiled absently, said, "Not now, babe. I'm tired." Not now. That became his phrase. I'm tired. Not tonight. Maybe this weekend. It got to the point where I stopped trying because every small rejection felt like a bruise on my skin. And then the messages started. I didn't go looking for them. I wasn't hunting for trouble or excitement or some grand forbidden affair. It began with harmless small talk with a coworker, Ethan, who had recently joined our team. He was funny in the way that sneaks up on you. Quiet most of the time but occasionally dropping a comment that made me laugh out loud in the middle of a dull afternoon. One evening, he texted me about a project deadline. We ended up chatting for half an hour, about work, about movies, about nothing at all. It felt easy, innocent. But then it kept happening. He'd text something like, "Rough day? You deserve a glass of wine tonight." Or, "I bet you look amazing when you're stressed out." I knew I should have shut it down right there. I was married. He knew I was married. But when your husband hasn't told you you're beautiful in months, the words land softer than they should. I told myself it was harmless. Just texting. Just a little attention I wasn't getting at home. But sometimes late at night, I'd reread the messages, feeling this strange combination of guilt and thrill fluttering in my stomach. And all the while, Daniel grew quieter. It was like living with a ghost of the man I used to know. We talked about groceries, about bills, about his mother's birthday next weekend. But we didn't talk. And somewhere between his silence and Ethan's attention, a part of me I didn't like began to wake up. It happened on a Thursday. Not a dramatic Saturday night after too much wine. Not a stormy evening with thunder rattling the windows like some cliché romance novel. Just a regular Thursday. Daniel was working late again. He'd left me a short text. Don't wait up. Might be late. Dead tired. Dead tired. Always tired. I made dinner for one. Sat at the table with my phone beside me, scrolling without really seeing anything. And then Ethan texted. Still up? Or did your husband steal you away for the evening? I don't know why my heart skipped the way it did reading that. Maybe because I knew the answer was no. Daniel wouldn't be stealing me away for anything tonight. I replied before I could think. He's working late. Just me and my spaghetti. Ethan sent a winking emoji. Guess I'm keeping you company then. I should have ended it there. Should have turned off my phone, gone to bed, reminded myself I was a wife, not some college girl flirting for attention. But I didn't. Because it felt good to have someone ask about me. Someone who seemed to actually want to talk to me. We messaged for an hour. Nothing explicit. Just teasing, jokes, a little banter that skimmed the edges of something dangerous without crossing the line. And then he wrote, "You ever feel like your marriage gets quiet? Like the spark fades?" I stared at that message for a long time. It felt like someone had reached into my chest and yanked out the secret I didn't dare say out loud. Yes, I finally typed. It's been quiet for a while now. Ethan replied. If I were your husband, I'd make sure it was never quiet. That was the first time my pulse jumped in a way I couldn't pretend was innocent. I don't know if it was loneliness or anger or the aching memory of who Daniel used to be. But something inside me cracked that night. And then Daniel came home. He walked in while I was still holding my phone like a guilty teenager. His hair was messy, eyes tired, suit jacket slung over his shoulder. He kissed my cheek absently, the kind of kiss you give your aunt at Christmas, and muttered, "Hey, long day." I wanted him to look at me. Really look. To see that I was dressed in the sweater he used to love. The one he once said made me look like his whole future wrapped in soft fabric. But he didn't. He just grabbed a beer, collapsed on the couch, and turned on the news. And maybe that was the moment I crossed the line. Not physically, not yet. But in my heart something shifted. Because when I looked at him, slouched and silent and miles away even though we shared the same room, I realized I felt lonelier with my husband than I did texting another man. That night, after Daniel fell asleep on the couch, I lay in bed scrolling through Ethan's messages again. His words made me feel seen in a way.